Okay, I realized that I was a targeted individual between April to May of 2017. I started documenting and researching all these weird, surrealistic events that have happened in my life. And um, I've been going through gang stalking since that time uh, overtly. And this is some of the evidence that I have, some of the footage that I have to show what I've been going through. So that right there is a certificate that I was given for this class that I was in for incident command. You can look that up and research it. On the 5th day of September 2001, 9/11, right after that. Guess I made this clip a little bit too long. I talked with Jason Goodman about this on his show on Crowdsource the Truth. Please look that up. Note the airplane in flames on my certificate. This kind of threw up a red flag for me. It was about incident command for large incidents, you know. Then when this happened a week later, I started questioning, and it turns out there's something called the disposition matrix that the president can put people on a kill list, people that fit certain criteria, like people that are researching 9/11, debunking it, bringing out truth. Why did I make this clip so long?
Hey everybody, this is how I get greeted when I walk out of a building a lot of times. I'm sure if you're a targeted individual, you get this same thing. I just walked out the front door of the post office.
So yeah, that's people's car alarms go off, but when you've been going out running your errands for 2 or 3 months and a car alarm goes off the second you go out the front door 30 or 40 times in a row, it's no longer a coincidence, it's a pattern of harassment. This gentleman right here is a guy that I met at an estate sale. Him and his friend owned an estate sale business. He's got his InfoWars hat on, got his CNN, his fake news shirt. You can't see that in this picture right here, but I gave him one of these flyers about organized stalking and harassment. Oh, there we go, CNN's fake news. Okay, if you didn't hear that part, that was somebody who I thought was a friend of mine that started sending me really weird messages about them being Satan, Lucifer, about how they are my handler in this program. There is somebody that is the target's handler that is responsible for causing chaos in the target's life. That person called me and was saying that she is the handler of handlers, that she is Lucifer, and that she squashes people's brains with ultrasonic weapons and stuff like that. So I made that video, blocked her, and moved on. Uh, Targeted individuals are harassed with vehicles swerving in front of them with personalized license plates to get the target's attention and to let them know that they are being followed and that they are being harassed. And usually the person in the car with these personalized license plates will make sure that they look over. They're always on their phone. They'll give you either a dirty look or they'll do some kind of hand signal to show you that their attention is on you. Other people driving around you don't act like this. They're minding their own business, and they're not. Their attention isn't focused on you. It's attention on their attention is focused on what they are doing. This is just one of them that. These license plates will usually correlate with a conversation you've just had privately in your home, on your phone, something like that. So, one of these photos in this video is of a black Dodge Challenger. that says Midgie, MIGG1. So the day that Midge Mathis, one of the organizers for Targeted Justice here in Arizona, came to visit my home, as I was leaving my home later that day, that car pulled out in front of me. It said Midgie1. What are the odds of that? Another day, I dropped my daughter off at her friend Rainey's house. I dropped her off at her house. A car pulls out, swerves in front of me to make sure that they get my attention, and a license plate says Rainey. Coincidences like this do happen, but not on such a repetitious, in such a repetitious manner. There's no way that all of these are coincidences, and that's how they have plausible deniability for this. Is they say, well, you're just noticing these things. It's just a coincidence. Well, if you're not keeping track of how many times this happened, you don't have a mathematician, a statistician to figure out these numbers to prove that it's statistically impossible for these occurrences that targeted individuals experience on a daily basis. Yeah, it's just impossible. So this guy had his camera fixed on me the entire time I was in this restaurant, and when he noticed I started filming him, he caught what I was doing and said, "Oh, I better pay attention to what I'm doing and act like I'm not filming this guy." Now, it's something that happens everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. Imagine everywhere you go, somebody's just, if I was a movie star, if I was some kind of celebrity, I would get it. I would get it. It's not the case.
I was saying racial stuff, like gringo, white boy, and then these guys rolled up starting to say the same thing.
Notice how this guy looked over to see if
There we go, more
I was
gang
paying
stalkers
attention.
right there.
There's these two buddies. These guys were following me around in the store. And then they came over and crowded me. Now, I didn't get this part on video, but when I tried to leave, these guys all just stood shoulder to shoulder next to each other and blocked my path. And when I tried to get by them, one of them nudged into me and tried to start a fight with me. I'd love for the NSA or some of the white hats to go through this video footage, subpoena this footage at Costco and watch how these people follow you around, and sometimes it's not obvious because they'll just walk by and they'll say something just low enough for you to hear. You're like, did that guy just call me a gringo? What is that even about? I was just married to a Hispanic lady for almost 9 years, or with her for almost 10 years, and then my last girlfriend was Spanish. I mean, Latina. I mean, come on.
Here, here's the video of this. Here's smile.
These folks. So you see where my arrow is? We were back here on the back wall getting one of the last things we needed. These folks were standing right here on their phone, staring at us as we came out of the aisle. They both gave us dirty looks. And the moment we came around the corner, they immediately started walking directly behind us. It's to make you feel uncomfortable. It's to cause you to wonder, like, why are these people doing this? And look at these smiles they have on their face too. They're not smiling because, hey, we're just in this video. They're smiling because they got caught. Now watch their facial features change.
Well, I'm getting them too.
Okay, turn to that guy's not happy. All right, now here's when this is a pedestrian thing, happens all the time. Somebody was sitting, that guy was just standing in front of the bank, looking around, watched me, waited till I got in my car to drive around this way, and if you see in the beginning of the video, let's go back. Oh, wait.
Good time, buddy. Hope that paid for dinner for
this one. Oh well. Anyway, he ran across the parking lot and waited till I went. And they do this with perfect timing, so it is ridiculously frustrating. And it should be to anybody that's...
so this guy right...
All right, here we go. My ex-girlfriend and I, Kathy, went into Fry's, this local grocery store. Just did a little bit of grocery shopping. This guy in his burgundy V-neck t-shirt, which seems to be their color, these people that follow us around, literally walked around, followed us in the store. While we were in the line, he just stood in the front of the store hung out, did not buy anything, had his phone aimed at us the whole time, waited for us to check out, followed us to our car. I took my card over to the cart bin where you put your card away, and the cart attendant was out there. I started talking to him. This guy literally walked over, stood right next to me, and leaned over to hear what I was telling the cart guy. So he followed us around the store, followed me to my car, followed me to the cart thing, just stood there, and and uh, and then when I walked back to my car, he took off across the parking lot, about 10 rows over. So I drove. We were over this way. My mouse is here. Drove around this way, and I pulled my truck right here because this is the way I need to go to get out of the parking lot. I stopped, I got out, and I handed this guy a flyer, and I said, man, you should really look into this. Organized stalking is legal, it's a felony. He got out, kicked my truck. Well, here, watch the video.
Right here, just followed me through the parking lot, ripped this flyer up, DKD 5946. Threw it on the ground, left his drink on the car.
And I said he left his drink on his car, which doesn't matter, but it was kind of funny to me because he took off, and his lemonade from In-N-Out just dumped right in his window, which was pretty poetic.
And then kicked my truck.
Now notice these white and red cars, they're all
right here,
pulling up
just kicked my
during
truck.
this incident. They're going around, they're pulling up during this incident. Now check this out. This car just pulled up, this red car.
Can I get your name, sir?
Yeah.
Any idea who the subject is? Or anything?
I don't know. Yeah, a lot of the people that stalk and harass me, actually, I've never seen in my life, which makes no sense. And, it's been happening for a while. Thanks for letting me know.
Okay, so I had a witness. Kathy was in the truck with me. We filed a police report, got the guy's license plate number, have this on video that the guy was basically running, got in his car, took off, running. They said they found him, his story was conflicting, nothing was ever done. How does that work out? His story was conflicting, so he's like, no, I didn't do this. And I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. And then the cop proceeds to tell me, oh, hey, your registration's out of date. It never showed up in the mail. It never showed up in the mail. So he didn't hook my car up. I went to the MVD immediately, paid for my registration because that was the first that I was notified of it. Since important mail doesn't seem to show up. And here we go. Is it just a coincidence that there are this many red cars that just pulled up at the exact moment that I'm having this conversation with this police officer after I just got assaulted in a parking lot?
No, I'm not making it
They weren't there before this started.
an issue.
I got a party in my truck.
Yeah, me too.
This is in front of my house. These guys are throwing a party out front. I just went outside to get some fresh air, just listening to the music. They were playing some good music, actually. I wasn't even too bothered by it after, midnight. Eventually got annoying. But yeah, I went out, and this guy just pulls up in his truck and says, "What's up?" I said, "Just out here listening to the party." And then he says, "I've got a party in my truck," and does this. Hey guys, very perfect timing.
How's it going? Do you need some directions?
I was leaving my house. This is right out in front of my house. I was leaving my house, and this guy was literally circling around the neighborhood, pulling in front of my house. When I was leaving, he'd pull and just stop in front of my house.
Cool, what's up? I just had some people around my house recently, stalking me, harassing me, have my house broken into, so I just stop and say hi to everybody.
Oh no, I stay right here.
Oh, you live here in this neighborhood? Oh, right on. Cool.
Okay, bro, about that.
You're just circling around in front of my house, just like these other people. So yeah, I'm not trying to put you in a weird spot. I just try to keep an eye on all this stuff.
All right.
You ever heard of that? Organized stalking and harassment? Gang stalking? Yeah, that happens to me.
You're there.
Have you ever heard of that? Gang stalking? Yeah. Heard of that.
One, 2, 3.
These guys were following me down the road through town. They were on me for a while, and I decided I was going to pull into this parking lot and make a U-turn so I could try to get them on camera, and I did.
4. All those cars were just following me, and 5 here. They all pulled in when I pulled into this parking lot. Just wanted to catch that real quick. They didn't think I was going to pull over.
This is with my daughter on the way to the batting cage. A lot of times they'll do this excessively when one of my kids is in the car, just so I'll say, look at this, look at all these white cars. I sound like a crazy guy, because they're only seeing it this time they're with me. And so I had to do these videos to show the persistence.
Okay, so white cars today.
This is a
White cars,
completely
1, 2,
different day.
7 passes.
Driving
3, 4,
across town to go
5,
pay the
6,
rent.
7 of them right here in a row.
Now these people didn't just pass me. They were driving in a circle basically around us for miles.
There's 7.
Seems to be something with the number 7. It's usually how many there are. These big packs like this. And I found it interesting that I was watching this, what was the lieutenant colonel, or was he a general? General, oh my gosh, the Satanist. It was on the Oprah show, and they were talking about the guy that was in the satanic cult. Was talking about this sacrifice they had done, and they stabbed the victim 7 times. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but this seems to be part of the repetition. So, I'm not trying to claim I know what it is. I'm just trying to document and share the patterns that I've noticed.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4,
This is
5.
a completely different day. This is just
6,
outside of my
7.
house on
Directly
Avondale
around us.
Boulevard on the main street. Now
8.
notice
Here
how,
comes the
okay,
8th.
notice the timing of this. Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say that around the back here, you'll see there's like 7 white cars. And notice the timing. This Penske truck. Now this was when I wasn't sure. This day I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pay the rent. I think I actually was on. Might have been on my way to pay the rent again. It's pretty much all the only reason I leave: pay the rent, go to the post office, go to the grocery store, run to the convenience store, get gas, and then go to the swap meet. That's about it. But notice this Penske truck and the timing of the light.
So what are the odds of 8 white cars pulling up right around you?
8, I'm sorry. I'm missing.
I can't even see behind us that truck.
So quick that light was. Alright. Well, we can't make it. So this looks like something that's completely normal. I'm telling you, this type
So
of
this
thing
guy makes the U-turn.
is street theater.
Can't make it in the truck. Has to back up.
Half of these people would not be on the
Really
road
slow.
if they were not participating in
And
domestic,
make everybody at the light
illegal
wait.
domestic surveillance and stalking.
North Valley Mechanical. This guy's got an Air Force logo on his.
Okay, now this day, I was in the far right lane. The speed limit is 55 miles an hour. I'm traveling at 60 miles an hour in the slow lane, so I'm not in anybody's way. There's 4 other lanes on the left for this person to go around. They had plenty of time before the other traffic was coming up, but they decided that they wanted to connect with my bumper and got inches from my bumper, would not get off. It was they were either trying to make me speed or run me off the road or what. But look at how close this guy's truck is to me. "60 miles an hour in the slow lane." White GMC coming up right behind him. Look how close. Look at that. And I pull the camera out and he backs off. People are telling me, "Oh, don't film this, don't film this." The camera is like kryptonite. They do not like it. They do not like evidence. They do not like the people to see what's going on. This is hidden. Hidden dagger, silent dagger. Research those terms. Fair game. Research that. Scientology. Now this guy was a lot closer on my bumper, but I didn't get the camera out in time. He was just about as close. Maybe not as close as the last guy, but for a while just driving down the street, trying to drive, get some food. Okay, so here's another example of people doing completely unnecessary things, and you can see the timing of what they do. Now watch this car right here. He came across the parking lot and pulled up here. Waited for us to go and backed up to make it look like he was going to back into the street. Now at the same time, this other white Ford truck up here starts backing up, and he stops and watches. And right as we get up to the next parking lot, he starts to back up. And then notice the coincidental parking jam that always happens every time I pull into a parking lot. There we go. So it seems like he's moved in there. What would make somebody want to back up all the way to the road like this? That doesn't make sense, does it? How do they start? Stop? Oh, okay. I'm going to back up just like the other guy did. Perfect timing. And I'm like, okay, just like, oh wait, this guy decided to leave at that exact moment. And this guy. Now this is typical parking lot stuff. This happens every once in a while. You kind of get jammed up and say, yeah, parking lot, jam. Everybody's just going in different directions. Now, this is the type of thing that happens no matter where you go, everywhere you go, day after day after day after day.
Hope you guys don't mind this surprise.
This guy's awesome. Cars like this would just park in front of my house, sit on their phone. I'd go out to ask them if they needed any help, and before I could get to their car, they'd pull away. Red cars with their lights on, sitting in front of my house, on their phone, in the very back of this neighborhood. You have to go out of your way to get back to my house in this neighborhood. There's no cut through. There's no side street you can get through on. It is literally in the as far back in the neighborhood as you can get. So unless somebody's back here in front of my house hiding from somebody, but why would they pick my house over and over and over again? They sit there with their lights on, bright light me in front of my house. The second I walk out my front door, cars will start pulling up. The neighborhood's completely quiet. I made this clip too long, I'm sorry. The neighborhood is completely quiet. No motion anything, I go out to pull some weeds in my front yard, and all of a sudden there's a circus. People coming by walking their dogs because I have my dog out there with me. There's people driving by really fast. There's people pulling up, stopping, turning their lights on, getting on their phone, aiming their camera at me in front of my house, in front of my yard. I'll look out the window, go out there and look out there. There's nobody out there. I head out front, and geez, I made this clip long. That was an accident. My apologies. So that should change. A lot of targeted individuals experience this exact same thing. So, oh, my startup disk is almost full. Will I be able to finish this video? Well, if I wouldn't have made this clip so long. How did that happen? What the heck happened there? Alright, so guys in the burgundy van standing there at the exact moment I go by, they do the hand signal, they raise their hand to their head, he's got his burgundy shirt on. It's the timing. It's the timing, repetition, color sensitization. So.
Being for him to give her a cup, she drank.
There we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, every once in a while I say
Go for it, AMR.
For the most part, I just harass innocent people.
That was my ex-girlfriend being sarcastic, talking about gang stalkers. Okay, now this can happen. This coincidence can happen where you're like, oh, wow, hey, look at all these burgundy cars. But then when it happens the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day, and a month has gone by, and you're like, what's going on here? You're not paranoid. You start to become vigilant to this pattern of harassment. So it'll be proven.
Completely normal, right? Red cars on 3 sides of me. Oh, and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 surrounding right now. Sometimes there's been like 10 all the way around. But hey, check it out.
All right, here we go. This is okay. White cars are the most popular cars, like 20%. I checked out the statistics in Arizona, for the United States, and the statistics are white is the most popular. Red is one of the least popular, actually, which kind of tells you something there too, that there wouldn't be that many red cars on the road. It's driving right around you. So we've got red car up here. So red, white, white, red, white, white, red, white. Half these people wouldn't even be on the freeway if they weren't just driving right around me. And it's easily explained. They have a GPS locator somehow on me somewhere, a vehicle, satellite, whatever. I don't know the technology. I don't know how they do it. I just know that it's going on. Maybe Richard Lighthouse can explain that better. The guy that worked for NASA. Research him. So this is a daily occurrence. This isn't, hey, every once in a while I happen to notice this anomaly. This is every day.
Sorry, just want to point it out.
This is on my way to the post office. I'd go here pretty much every other day, every 3 days. Um, drive down the street, and it's always something going on at this intersection right here. And on my way to the post office, and when I get to the post office, is one of their favorite places to throw these little parades.
How it works with this, when you're targeted, you tell somebody that you're being stalked.
Same corner.
Some local government's involved.
You must have got those clips out of place.
Local citizens are involved.
Look at all these. See?
And
white, red, red, red. This is color sensitization. I don't fully understand the reason why, but I know that it's happening. Police officer parked right there. White and red car. Every single car going on that road was white and red. Here we go. Notice the timing right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all coming at the same time. It's always when you get to the intersection. Always. And honestly, I almost didn't see that guy right there. I hate when people say honestly but I got distracted by these red cars. I went to get in this lane and damn near ran into this guy. And that's a lot of what they're trying to do, is just to distract you and get you to run into somebody. If I get in an accident with this guy right here, this corporation or whatever this is, that I can stand up against them in court, and they can just lie, dig the hole a little deeper. And there's the other red car. Alright, so this is just Goodwill. Took my daughter in to get some clothes, and there was no cars parked out here. I was the only car on this whole row right here. I come back out, got white, red cars parked right around you. And I mean, that doesn't affect me or anything, but what it does is it's a consistent, they're consistently letting you know, hey, no matter where you go, we're here, pulling up next to you, we're going to park our cars, we're in the store, we're following you around, recording you on our cameras. We're here. You can never be left alone. You always need a babysitter. You can't go out in front of your house without the neighbor coming out. Yesterday I went out in front of my house to pull some weeds. The neighbor comes out with a hammer and just starts hitting rocks. He just starts hitting rocks with a hammer. I think that somebody would call some mental facilities when somebody starts acting like that. So he starts hitting these rocks with a hammer, and then he grabs a shovel and starts picking up rocks with a shovel and just flipping them over. There's always somebody. This is the roundabout in my neighborhood. Usually as I come around the roundabout, there's somebody meeting me at the roundabout. Perfect timing. I have to slow down and stop, or I just step on it a little bit, but they meet me exactly at the I can never just make it through. They do it intentionally to make you feel uncomfortable. Now watch this guy. This guy's waiting for me. Came around the roundabout, swerving all over the place. This burgundy Cox Communication SUV. He's turning left, and then he sees me turning right. See, I was planning on going left out of the post office that way. I changed my mind. I decided to go right and said, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go right too, because I'm following.
Acting like they're on the phone, lost.
What other reason would he have just decided to turn right at the last minute? This police officer. This is just turning right up the street right after I left my neighborhood, and then he followed me, and then here he goes. And this happens all of the time. Paper license plates.
All right, folks, seeing this?
Over the SUV.
Checking this out.
Followed me out of my neighborhood and swerving into my lane. And people are trying to tell me that nobody's bothering me, that it's just life, and I should just settle down. So that's not going to happen.
Yep, raise their hands, do a little hand signal right now.
I'm gonna fight you people. And then here he goes again as I'm leaving my neighborhood. This is like the next day or two after, I believe. I can't remember exactly. It's been really hectic. They do so much stuff, but yeah. So made sure to drive right in front of me a couple days after. It's like they'll do something to antagonize you, and they'll try to get you to chase them and uh, confront them. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you stalking and harassing people? Why are you swerving into their lane, trying to cause accidents? So they'll antagonize you, start some kind of conflict, and then you see them. They'll try to catch you on a bad day when you haven't had your coffee or cigarettes. Or I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but when you haven't had whatever you've had, and might have had a bad day, bills, whatever, and then they go, all right, let's put that person right back in front of them and see what happens. It's a phishing scam.
So today it's black cars. 1, 2.
So this was coming back from taking my daughter to school, and in one block there were probably 50 black cars, headlights out, one headlight out, etc., swerving into my lane, stomping on their brakes, acting like they were going to hit me. And I just started recording as I'm going back into my neighborhood, and I've seen this routine so much that I called what was going to happen as I'm going up around the roundabout. So there we go. There's the black car. And then as I pull in, so they're letting me know there's going to be another one coming up. 1, 2, 3 black cars in a row.
Yeah. That's how they do it.
Right,
There's
red one
another
up
one
here.
right up here in front of me. And if they call them off yet, there should be another coming around the roundabout. When we get up to the house, we'll see. Sometimes when I start filming.
So if this is not a pattern, tell me how this is about to happen right here. When I said that if they didn't call them off, there will be another black car in the roundabout.
When I notice the pattern, I start filming, and then so I can pull them off. If I don't start filming, then what? Black car roundabout.
All right, this started happening. I was driving my daughter to school every day. She's getting there on her own now. But I was driving her to school every day, and then it seemed like for about a month almost, no matter what time we leave the house, if we left 20 minutes early, 20 minutes late, this bus would stop right here, and there would be a line of cars behind me. We would have to sit there and wait. But it happened every single day, no matter what time we would leave the house for quite a while. And then they would start piling up the same color cars in front, probably to get me to make a video and try to explain this and sound crazy. But after, like Hugh says, how many times does something have to happen before it's not a coincidence anymore? How many times? There we go, black car. And again, this is only maybe 1/1000th.
Alright, so I just walked out here to my front patio.
Lucky enough to have my camera in my hand, catch some of this. This is right in front of my house. Right when we walk out to wash the car, nobody's out there. Both of these burgundy cars pull up. This guy pulls up, turns his music on, sits there, and then the other car just sits down at the end of the street with their lights on, waiting until we go in. Here's the car that showed up the day that Midge came by our house. Alright, notice the police cars. They like to, whenever I go somewhere, they like to be sitting there, waiting, and then they pull the burgundy SUV out to kind of let me know. Yep, there we go. So this guy was behind us, and he wasn't turning his blinker on left and right, but his headlights were flashing on and off left and right behind us. I didn't see his blinker marker going. They were just flashing on and off. Then I got my camera out, and guy takes off, does this.
I recorded something too. People are walking by me doing hand signals. Oh, and just as I suspected, there
police car rolling in right in front of me.
pulling in right at the exact moment that I am. I'm what they call a targeted individual. Yeah, and I get gang stalked. Oh, okay. Yeah, you ever heard of gang stalking?
You hear the really loud laughing in the background. For some reason, they like to do this. They'll stand around you and just it's like somebody giving somebody a ridiculous courtesy laugh, but they push it out, they force it, they cough, they choke, they sniff, but they come real close to you and do it and get your attention while they're doing it. It's that they're not minding their own business. They are intentionally harassing you.
Seriously? Yeah, man, it's pretty messed up. Actually, have you ever heard about that?
What?
Gang stalking?
Gang stalking?
Gang stalking. Targeted individuals.
Notice how she didn't answer.
Yeah?
I had one yesterday.
Oh, now she has what she had one yesterday. Okay, and she thinks it's really funny that that person's a targeted individual. Targeted individual, excuse me.
No, really. No,
She's like, I have one all the time.
Seriously, tell me about it. No, because it's a...
It's an investigation.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, does the person know that they're being investigated?
He's dead.
So she has she knows about a targeted individual. It's under investigation, and she can't tell me about it. But then she tells me that he's dead. So this is a form of intimidation. She's telling me, yeah, that targeted individual died. I think this is real funny. I'm a police officer trying to protect and serve the community, yet when a former Air Force crash fire rescue firefighter and journalist comes to me with a complaint, I like to make fun of that guy. I think it's fun. That's what this lady is acting like.
Oh, really? Okay. No, because it's a phenomenon that's happening around the entire world right now. I mean, in a way, I apologize, but this is a really, really serious, important thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's how you talk to... You don't talk to people like that. Oh, yeah. Listen how condescending this person is. This person should not be serving the public.
So, and it's happening here in Avondale in our community. And unfortunately, some fire, police, and EMS are involved in this. And if you're not, some people you're working with are involved in it. No, I'm just telling you.
I'm not involved in it, although I was the one that pulled up at the exact moment at the convenience store, got out, stood there with nothing going on in the store. I'm just standing there leaning on a rack of chips, drinking my soda, cackling right behind this guy while he's in line. Just
telling you because it's information that people need to know. You know? And it doesn't, I mean, does it sound important to you that they break into people's houses, they steal things out of their house, they hit them with things called ELFs, extremely low frequency weapons? Have you heard of that?
See, look at the look on her face. Here's when she understands, when she starts to realize that I'm not some lunatic and I know exactly what I'm talking about. I know that there's been attacks on our embassy in Cuba, been attacks on people in China, that we have something called active denial. She knows that I know what I'm talking about, and she's starting to feel uncomfortable because I'm calling her out. Now remember, this video happened 3 weeks before I was arrested. I uploaded this video, and all of a sudden, the stalking got more intense, and then I was set up for a crime on January 4th, 3 weeks after uploading this video.
The FISA did it to the people in Cuba. All of our people were over in Cuba.
Yeah, I know about that.
I would defer to detectives so that it can maybe run it by the FBI.
Okay, so then if you would do that, why won't you take my report right now? You're in your cruiser, you have a computer to file a report. Why would you not take that report? Note the star tattoo on this lady's neck right here. That's a common thing with these gang stalkers.
Somebody has more...
I told the FBI about this, and they said, is this a federal matter? And I said, I don't know, you're the federal employee, you can tell me. And I got hung up on it.
There we go. So this is the kind of stuff, man, right after that, this kind of stuff just started going.
I don't know what the hell is going on. But it sounds like the entire town's rolling code 3 right now. Lights and sirens.
I said lights and sirens. I can't see any of them, but you're running your sirens, you got your lights on.
You going after somebody? What's going on?
I'm sorry, code 3 is just public responder terminology. Code 1, you just drive there normally. Code 2, just sirens, just lights, no sirens. And code 3 is you're jamming, getting there as fast as you can without risking life or limb or other people's safety. Well, again, everything's quiet in the neighborhood until I go out front. I didn't go out because I heard this. I went out front to go sit on my front patio, and this went off. Maybe 30 seconds after I went outside. Now, I could only find one clip of this guy, but for about 2 weeks, everywhere I would go, this guy would be standing on the corner. Anywhere in town, or anywhere around this area, he was just standing on the corner everywhere I was. Watch this guy. See him holding out his shirt, waving it?
Huh?
Look at all these police cars over here. These people with the flashing lights. Okay. And this police car is just sitting here. I get up to him and he turns on his lights and sirens and he takes off. This is at the entrance. This is at the entrance to my home. They will always meet me at the entrance to my neighborhood. Whenever I leave the house, they'll have a cop sitting there, some kind of commotion going on right as I leave the house. And it's not always the police. There's something going on right as you leave the neighborhood. Always.
Way to park on the over this. Interesting. We got two police cruisers here, just sitting next to each other. Traffic.
And lights right at the exact moment that I go by. That's how they do it. Every single time I go by these guys.
Guess they had something interesting going on.
Game to them. Go by, boom, put the lights on.
And right when I go by, turns his lights on. Guess that's to let me know that they didn't like what I was saying about police, fire, and EMS being involved in this yesterday.
Yeah, that was the day after I did, believe, my first interview with Jason Goodman on Crowdsource the Truth. It's usually a response whenever I do something positive. There's some kind of chaos or circus the next day.
And you're slowing down to keep an eye on them. And then somebody will come, like, out of your blind spot, like out of nowhere. And, you'll almost run into them, or, if you're just going